Have a good night, Senbu. Okay, so here we go. It looks like there was a mine for a banner that we will be getting soon. 2 banners, actually. Looks like a semi-sorta global exclusive thing. To honor the release of Dissidia NT. And maybe in our heart of hearts, we believe that it also counts for Dissidia Opera Omnia as well. Which it doesn't. So let's go take a look at the banners and see if either of them are worth a damn. Full price, yes. So, first banner is Garland Chain, Ject USB, XF USB, Ranth USB. That's some kind of a weaker top end. Definitely always like chains, of course. Ject USB can be good, but it's not good by itself. It needs his LMR, which fortunately is on this banner, but it is a situation where you're gonna want both for it to be like competitive with a lot of the other things that we have access to. So that's a footnote. And XF USB is a good USB. It's a party buff and a high runic, which is just going to be good, especially if you need a high runic. Because I do have access to Celeste's Burst Soul Break 2 and Celeste's Super Soul Break, I wouldn't place a high priority on this, but I would still consider it a win if I would pull it. So right now I'm looking at 2 out of the 4, and then Gabranth USB is an older, and I think it's one of the weaker cycle USBs, kind of like Balthier's. Let's see. Ruin Unflinching, 10 single attacks. No, it is not. Attack and defense plus 30%, grants attach dark, quick cast 1, and dark quick cycle. So it's a good quick cycle. Well, one of the middle ground ones. The high quick cycle is the ones you want to see the most. And then there's ones where this buff, this attack and defense plus 30%, is omitted completely. You obviously don't want that. That's what I was referring to when I said Balthier's USB. He has like a weaker version of what other people get access to for USBs, but Gabranth is not bad. So that's actually a good USB. Further down, which is made note of this like half an hour ago, but that's physical, that's physical, that's physical, but then we get into the burst section, it just deviates completely and goes all magical, and I don't like that. I think we have enough elements that we need to be pulling for as is. Better that we don't split those elements up into physical and magical teams as well, because there's just not enough resources to go around for that. Unless you're swiping your credit card. So let's take a look at the LMR. What does this banner really want us to do? Kuja, Kefka, Cloud of Darkness. And luckily Jack's LMR is here. Unfortunately, Garland's is not. And Garland's is kind of important. Gabranth really would have been nice too, so, you know, we're looking at the good things that appear on this banner, which would be Garland, X-Death, and Gabranth. None of their LMRs show up on this banner. I honestly think this banner is kind of, good, but kind of a trap. Because you don't know what you're really getting. You do know you're getting dark, but is it going to be dark that's going to help you? Because the banner is kind of all over the place in the element. And as I went over in the tier lists, dark is actually the most expansive element in the game. I would want something a little more focused than this. I think all of the LMRs are good, but it's... So what on the banner is good just by itself? Let's go there. Garland Chain. This is good only if you need a high runic. This is good. This is good. Cloud Darkness, Bristle Break 2, Gabrath USB, Garland Chain. I'm not sure how I feel about Kefka Bristle Break 2. You know, I don't feel good about it. I think you need his LMR for it to be good. Kind of like, it's a Squall type, where you charge up with Command 1, and then you get to use Command 2 for as much as you can. It doesn't reset the stacks. And the best way to go about doing that is having access to dual casting. Kefka's LMR is a 25% chance to dual cast. Both of these together would be very good, but apart, not so much. And these supers are just dark relics. I don't think there's anything good about them otherwise. I think the banner, like, if you're willing to sink the resources into it and get, you know, the combinations that work here, it could be a really good dark banner. But I think it requires too much investment to get what you need out of it. Okay. So that's banner 1. If you're willing to go in 100, 150 mithril, or, you know, 2 to 4 pulls, then you're really that desperate for dark damage. Which I don't think anybody should be at the moment, because Siren is not in the game. Will be eventually, but we're going to have better options for more focused versions of dark banners, I personally feel. So, I don't know. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to make a case for this banner if you're not in the need of a high runic, along with needing dark damage. Because you really just need to pile on the number of wins for this banner to be worth it compared to what's coming up. The only reason I'm considering it at all is because dark doesn't appear on the 3rd anniversary. It most likely won't. But banner 2, we'll go into banner 2 now, which is considerably better. So we're probably going to spend a lot more time talking about this. Titus's chain, very powerful chain. Onion Knight, Onion Knight. I'm gonna reiterate here that Onion Knight's physical USB, Onion Knight's magical USB, and Onion Knight's LMR are here. This banner is kind of weird because it's like, it's the gacha telling people that they shouldn't chase things in the future, because this is another occurrence of Onion Knight's USBs and LMR right after people probably just got done chasing for his stuff. And they shouldn't. I mean, it's a good lesson. It really is. Do not chase, because you're going to get other opportunities. Your mithril does not go down in value, ever. Any gacha game like this has power creep in it, and power creep it works both ways. Banners start getting better, but because banners start getting better, your mithril starts becoming more valuable. Over time, your mithril just keeps getting better and better and better. So don't overextend and chase into banners that have, you know, 1 or 2 good things left. You just feel you need to get those to complete yourself. You don't, because the things that you want, the things that will allow you to complete yourself are going to appear again, and you'll have another shot at it. And you're going to have another shot at it on a banner that's going to have, you know, less dupes and more wins for you on the banner. I am case in point. I went in, I don't even remember 100, 150 mithril on the ending banner, and I decided, okay, well, you know what, I'm gonna stop. I still have a Onion Knight USB to get. I still have Onion Knight's LMR to get. I'm actually in a pretty poor position. Because I couldn't pull on the banner anymore because I gotten so much else off of it that it didn't make any sense to go after Onion Knight's things anymore. So I said, okay, I'm not going to chase. And then I get rewarded with this, which actually does have a few dupes on it for me. But it's still a much better banner to pull on than that Onion Knight banner. So much better that I will be pulling on this banner. So I'm going to be scheduling a stream for the day that we find out that this is coming out. But let's go over the banner past the Onion Knight stuff now. Obviously, these top 3 things are amazing. Oh, and then we have Cloud's USB, which it breaks the game. It's not that like world-ending anymore in the highest level content. It's still a really good pickup, and it works really well if you have other things for Cloud. I'm actually kind of iffy about it. I do want it. I do want it because this could be a data mine troll, but I mean, I gotta cover it. I still want it at the very least because I know it's going to help me in the future. It's going to help me make decisions in the future, and it's a pretty fantastic thing to have for multiplayer. So yeah, I'm down with it. I like it. So that's your top end, and you know, the first 3 are just plain amazing for basically everyone who plays the game. Cloud USB is probably amazing for everyone who plays the game as well. I'm not as high on it as I was before. That's just a personal feeling. But let's go into the Burst Soul Break section. Squall Burst Soul Break 2 is it's a USB. It makes him such a good ice character that it makes him worth legend diving, because the legend dive works together so well with his Burst Soul Break 2. Like I said on the first banner, Kefka's Burst Soul Break 2 is you charge with the first command and then you use the second command as many times as you can during the burst duration at max level, and that's Squall's is the prototype for that. And it works best when you have some sort of double cast to stack up the first command faster and to double cast the second command once it's fully stacked. Well, Squall has 35%, where Kefka with his LMR has 25%. This is just a fantastic soul break. Next up is Ramza's BSB2. This is a buffing burst, and one of the best in the game. It's a Heiska and attack plus 50% that gives Ramza some pretty interesting commands. One, not so much, but the Wrath command is the important one. Yes, Wrath is an ability, but it carries 2 distinctions from Wrath. One is, it doesn't give a 3% attack buff like Wrath does, which wipes out the buff that you get from the Burst Soul Break itself. So the Burst Soul Break's command doesn't give that attack buff, so it doesn't hurt the attack buff. Second is having Wrath outside of your abilities allows you to carry and run Ramza as an Entrust bot, but have a third ability. No other Entrust bot has that capability. And that's important for supports because there is a very, very important 6-star ability for supports, and that is Affliction Break. And if they have the opportunity to use that for things like, you know, you can use Affliction Break and reduce the percentage chance that you will get imperiled. That's a really powerful thing in Magicites. And that was just for 3-star Magicites. Now that 4-star come out, we see how crazy some of these status effects can get. And it is really nice for, you know, those status effects to just start missing when they normally wouldn't. I think it's a really good burst, a really good support burst, and about as valuable as some USBs. So already 2 bursts into the burst section, we have 2 amazing ones to look at. Stolla's Burst Soul Break is just a healer soul break. It's a Kiraga Medica with a 30% Stone Skin and instant Kirasha command. So it's one of the better healer bursts. So if you're looking for a healer burst, then that would be good for you. Vaughn's Burst Soul Break is basically Methuselah. It's still good a year after its release. It's an instant cast single target non-elemental damage that reduces magic and defense by 40% each, and has ninja cast time commands which allow Vaughn to take advantage of his ability pool and actually deal damage while breaking all these statistics, like using, Mug Bloodlust and stuff like that. He becomes a legitimate non-elemental damage threat with just his burst. It's so weird. It's so weird that this has been so good for so long. It's not amazing anymore. It's just good, but it's just weird that it is good. Vaughn's Burst Soul Break could be relevant for Ixion, because Ixion, unlike other Magicite bosses, is only 60% resistant to debuffs, while the rest of them are 80% resistant. So it actually makes sense if you can spare it to use some debuffs on Ixion. And Vaughn's is great because if you're using a physical team for that fight, I know I am personally, Vaughn and his defense breaking actually improves everybody's damage output. It's really just a good burst. So now that's the burst section. And honestly, the worst relic that we've seen, or the worst pickup we've seen on the banner so far, would be Ishtola's Burst Soul Break, and that's not necessarily bad. If you're in the need of a good healer, then that's actually a pretty damn good pickup for you. But it is in the realm of healer bursts, and there's just so many of them. It's like middle of the pack, I would say, personally. Still good because it has that instacast Cure Asha commands, but the entry kind of lacks compared to a lot of the ones that we have access to now. But still, if you need a healer burst, she is an effective healer. She's quite a good one. Anyway, Onion Knight LMR, or we'll go into the LMR section now. We have 4 LMRs. Onion Knight LMR is incredible. It gives him Instacast 2 to start the fight. One of the best characters in the game can act instantly to start the fight. There's nothing bad about that. It doesn't matter what you're using on Onion Knight, whether that be his USBs or his bursts. You're probably not using Onion Knight if you just have supers for him. Hell, that might even be good for him if you've just got his OSB. Anyway, that's an incredible pickup. Titus LMR is one of the best LMR in the game. And also, by itself, it is one of the best LMR in the game. And it is also on a banner with his chain on it. Always a good thing. So Titus LMR is a water bracer. It plus 20% water damage on a bracer, so everyone can use it. It's just awesome. And it gives Titus N water, which works perfectly with his chain, works perfectly with his Burst Soul Break 2, and even works well with his USB, if it needs to be. So that's yet another good pickup off this banner. Squall's LMR is not elemental armor, unfortunately, but it does give him an ice, which is a very good thing for Squall, because Squall has access to an elemental 6-star called Snowspell Strike. So what that means is Squall basically has a, instead of a 1.7 multiplier for a Life Siphon, Squall has a Life Siphon that is a 4.4 multiplier spread over 4 hits that exploits elemental weakness, and gets plus 30 or 50% damage because Squall has an ice from his LMR. Squall's LMR is one of the better N-element LMRs because he has access to that 6-star. Now, next up, Ram's LMR, another one of the best LMRs in the game. Starts at the battle out with instant cast 1 and full ATB. Oh, right, and dual cast too, Bassa. So, Ram's LMR start out the battle with full ATB and instant cast. What does this mean? Well, for one of the characters with 2 fantastic Heiskas, and even his USB, which I'll get to in a moment, but we'll start with the Heiska. What it means is he instantly acts at the start of the fight. Full stop. or full go, rather. And what that means is everyone starts the fight out with haste. That's awesome, because that saves a lot of time that not a lot of people understand that's even there, because they're used to starting battles off with everyone having, you know, regular ATB. Well, I'm speaking about Magicites, for instance, and jump starts. But if he starts out by giving everyone haste, you don't have to wait, because they start out with haste immediately and they get their ATB faster. It saves so much time. It saves so much time. So that's an awesome LMR, and it is even good with his USB. Because with his USB, that allows him to cast that immediately at the start of the fight for 30% attack, magic, and resistance, and it gives instant cast 1 to the entire team, including himself. So having instant cast 1 on everybody to start the fight, that's pretty nice too. That's a lot of time saved. Ramza's LMR is just awesome with all the things that make Ramza good, which would be his Super Soul Break 1, his Burst Soul Break 2, and his USB. So we've gotten to the end of the LMR section, and that's one of the best LMR sections I've ever seen. So let's go to the Super section and see if we can try to... We can't spoil the banner, but let's see if we can at least taint it a little bit. Noctis Super Soul Break. Well, we failed to taint it, because Noctis' Super Soul Break is actually quite awesome. It's instant cast single target non-elemental damage that gives instant cast 1 to your entire party. There are parties, definitely in 3-star Magicite, but as we get stronger, as we individually make our characters stronger in 4-star Magicite, this will once again become a good Super Soul Break again for 4-star Magicite. Outside the toughest content, this is just incredibly good. And will eventually, even the toughest content, be incredibly good again. And lastly, we have Ramza's Super Soul Break 1, which is Shout. Which is always going to be a very good Super Soul Break. If you do not have access, or if you don't have it, you don't have access to something similar to it. We do see 3 occurrences of it on this banner, which would be Ramza 1, Ramza Burst 2, and Onion Knight's Physical USB. They all carry the same stuff that do not stack, and that'd be haste get a party and attack 50% to party. So me more than most people, because I do not have access to a Heiska attack 50% buff, this is a pretty special banner for me, even having the 4 dupes that I have. One of which is one of the best, 2 of the best relics on the banner. Titus's Chain, Onion Knight's Magical USB. I have both of those. Ishtola's Burst, don't really care. And Squall's LMR. Everything else on the banner is good. So that's 10 relics on the banner that are good hits for me. Awesome. Awesome for me. And probably a lot for a lot of other people as well. The ones that don't have those crazy dupes that I have. Yeah, don't congratulate me yet. Yeah, we don't know what's going to happen with that. Actually, I'm pretty sure I know what's going to happen with that. I'm going to get some good things. That's a very, very high likelihood. But as has been said in chat, I basically have an 11 relic banner here because there's no possible way I can pull that, or I can pull that, because the game does not ever want to give me Shout. I've spent over 500 Mithril on banners that it was on, to no avail. It doesn't happen. So I did mention prior to starting this tirade on these banners, that you should assess banners by what you want off of them, not what you have duplicates of. I think assessing banners by what is a dupe on the banner is actually kind of pointless, because the advantages to looking at how many dupes you have on the banner are also present when you look at how many good things you want off the banner. Because a dupe has a chance to be, or has a very high chance to be something that you do not want off of the banner, but also has a chance to be good. So what's another way we can look at a banner that makes us understand the stuff that we don't want off of it? Oh yeah, we look at how many things we do want off of it. How about that? And the reason why you do that is because CSDX brought it up in chat just now, is that sometimes getting dupes is good because they're plus elemental gear, and having higher stacked elemental gear is a good thing because those base statistics that you get are actually quite important. And as well as when you look at a banner based upon how many dupes that you have on it, you're ignoring the fact that not every relic that you don't have a dupe of is something that you want. This banner, actually, this is a horrific example because everything I don't have a dupe on on the banner is something that I want. The only relic, if I had 0 relics off this banner, 0, the only thing that I would not want off of this banner would be Ishtola's Bursal Break. That is, in my opinion, the worst relic on the banner. Everything else is good. Good or better. Good to some of the strongest stuff in the game. These are 3 of the most powerful things in the game. But let's look at this banner and see if this works. I have Kuja's Burst. And that's it. That's actually a great example. I have a single dupe on this banner. I have 4 dupes on this banner. But this banner's a better banner because it has more things that I want. Just because I have 1 dupe on this banner doesn't make it, wow, this is crazy. No, that's not the way it works. So now, that's not the whole story when assessing banners. Just because a banner has a ton of stuff on it that you want doesn't mean it's worth pulling on. You have to consider one other thing. Are there any local, like time-based local banners that are good, that would be better than this banner and that have conflict? So by pulling on one banner, you ruin the better banner. So you want to pull on the better banner instead. Are there any of those? We're getting into really personal ways of like banner assessment. So I'm gonna have to go with like how I personally feel, and there would only be one that has a chance, and I'm gonna go take a look at it now. And that would be the Final Fantasy Tactics banner that is going to be happening in likely 2 weeks, a little more than 2 weeks from now. So what are we comparing here? We're comparing Ramza's Burst Soul Break 2, Ramza's Super Soul Break 1, Onion Knight's Physical USB 2, Ramza's Burst Soul Break 2, and Ramza's LMR. And what else? Really very little else. This is high-end water, high-end stuff, high-end ice, high-end debuffing. He's an S-tier debuffer for a good reason. Yeah, there's very little conflict here. But say I pulled here and I ended up with Ramza's Burst Soul Break 2. That does reduce a lot of the value that I would get off of pulling off of this banner. I don't think it's enough, honestly. I think I pull on this banner because this banner is so good. Like, let me count my wins off of this banner. Orlando USB. I'm not going to say Alma's USB. Marsh USB. Orlando OSB. I'm going to say Alma Burst because I think it's the best healer relic in Tactics. Ramza Bursts. Orlando LMR. Ramza LMR. Okay, so that's 7 things. It just doesn't compete with this banner. So what I do here is we go one step further. Are there any banners that would allow me to pull on this banner as well as another that would cover the same things that this banner does? This is why it's always such a complicated answer. People want simple answers when they say, should I pull on this? It's not. It's not. It is not an easy answer. It is never, never, never an easy answer. Are there any banners that with this plus that banner could compete with this banner? And do more, because I would have to do more for 2 banners to accomplish what 1 can. Only in theory. I would have to combine this banner with what we can only try to predict will show up on 3rd anniversary, which is 2 months from now. And that's just not enough. That's not enough to skip what is one of the best banners that I've seen in this game. So what does that tell us? Now we're going full circle with this pull philosophy thing. I'm going to pull until I feel like it doesn't make any sense to pull anymore. Which is early, which is a lot earlier than a lot of people think it is. You pull here and then, oh man, there's so many other things that I want off of this banner, but it is enough to be worth a pull. Because these things are probably going to show up later. Or at least things like on the Orlando banner, on 3rd anniversary coming in March. I can now approach those banners in a different way. Do I skip those instead? And if I skip those instead, that just gives me more mithril to spend on a banner that comes after it. I cannot make a case for skipping this banner for myself. So I'm pulling. Oh, you're out. I didn't know I was that boring. You know when the cat has their head turned over and they're facing towards the ceiling? That they're out. Man, look at that awesome resolution. Alright, yeah, so how does everyone feel about this stuff? Is there anyone that would like to compare other banners that may have some conflict in, you know, how good they are for them? Zoomed out too far. Hey, yeah. Good enough. We'll go over one more. Yep. That it's actually, I won't lie, I strategically placed that audio receiver because I knew it would be in my shot. Because the cats love it. If a fest banner is comparable to this? No, because the festival banners are more focused. At most, they have dual elemental going on for them. This banner has Titus for water, Squall for ice. I suppose there's, well, water and ice going on here, as well as buffing. It's nothing, none of the festival banners as we know it really compare to this. As far as, like, their theme. The only thing that I really consider to fall under that theme bossa would be Vaughn's Burst and Cloud's USB. Squall's Burst will break too. I guess good bursts have long outlived their usefulness. No, outlived the usefulness of bursts. There you go. OK's magical USB and Ramses Burst will break 2 did appear on Japan's first festival banner. Solus, you know better. It's not gonna work like that. Global's gonna keep on thinking that they don't have it good. So downtrodden. It's my issue there, Counting Kittens, and it's not guaranteed, and that's why I am going to be pulling here, is because I need a good healer. And Aphmau's USB would be fan-friggin-tastic. I do solve a lot of my problems if I get Onion Knight's physical USB, though. Or Ramses Burst 2. Ramses Super Soul Break 1 helps a lot, but I would still be in the market for getting a better version of it. We don't know